It looks so good. It looks so good. Urusei Yatsura 2022 looks so good. David Production, we don't meet often. You're usually working on that JoJo's thing, and sadly I haven't caught up on that whole thing, but you did good. You're doing good. You're doing real good. Now, the question mark is, can you do that for literally 4 cores? I don't know, but dang, Urusei Yatsura, the new remake, looks so good, and I could not be more overjoyed. It is such a great series that really does deserve a new polish, and they've taken the old style, they've polished it, they made it look newer, modern, and it just, so good. And all the seiyus, they're doing such a fantastic job. It's another one of those shows where I almost want to talk more about the OP than the actual show itself. But this is my thoughts on the first episode of Urusei Yatsura, a series that is running in the fall 2022 anime season. It's going to run over into the winter season and then have a break before it does another 2 cores. So I cannot be more excited. Let's jump into this. Urusei Yatsura opens up in our world where an alien invasion has started. They're all landing crafts all throughout the world itself, and then we zero in on a guy named Ataru who's in Japan. In the opening segments, he's trying to calm down this girl, Shinobu, claiming that she is the one for him, and she's upset because he keeps looking at other girls, which he does. And he does it again, and so she smacks him and walks away. At the same time, this guy named Cherry, this old man, thinks that he's going to jump off this bridge because he's got broken up with, but that's obviously not the case. Then suddenly, everybody rushes to Ataru's side. Something has happened you haven't heard yet. Yes, the government has come rushing in. They were looking for him because these aliens that are invading have randomly selected one citizen throughout the entire world that will compete in order to choose the fate of the world. He's going to play a game of tag, and if he wins, the invaders leave. But if he loses, they invade the world. So he's introduced to the leader of these guys, looks like an Oni, immediately freaks out. Oh my gosh, Oni, starts chucking stuff at the Oni. But then this guy introduces the person that he's going to play this competition with, which is his daughter, Lum. And immediately, Ataru's like, oh my gosh, this chick's hot. The introduction, I was like, oh my gosh, I fell in love with Lum once again, but I'm getting ahead of myself. But yes, the idea is that Ataru is it. And within 10 days, he has to grab Lum's horns. And if he does that, they win. Which seems like it should be a pretty easy deal, but no, unfortunately... They do this competition, and he is chasing her around, and unfortunately, she can also fly, and she can also electrocute him. And this eventually leads to the last night. The last night, he's in bed, he's feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna fail this, and everybody's gonna hate me. The whole world is going to hate me because I'm the one that failed to save the world. But whereas before, he thought that, man, I'm gonna become a hero, and all the women are gonna love me. And this is the night that Shinobu comes in and basically tells Ataru, if you win, I will marry you. Like, full on. Tomorrow night, I will marry you if you win. And so this kind of recharges Ataru. He's like, yes, I'm gonna do it. And he goes out there into the battlefield once again, and this time he manages to grab Lum, rip off their top, and then use that to basically distract her while he grabs her horns. And he wins. But the entire time he's doing this, he's screaming that he's gonna get married. He's gonna get married. This is completely throwing her off. And then this kind of comes to a misunderstanding as he's standing on the stage and they're congratulating him. Lum goes, okay, I will marry you. And he's like, wait, what? And then even the king of the Onis himself is like, all right, cool. Yes, I'll allow it. So this kind of turns into this whole thing where, yes, Ataru is trying to get with Shinobu, the one that promised that he would marry him. But at the same time, Lum is very upset that he's going after this other girl because they're supposed to get married. And the second half of this episode's pretty much chapter 5, where he's trying to call Shinobu on the phone, and Lum's up here in her spacecraft, and she's shooting interference, and it's causing this black hole within the world itself. It's just dumb, goofy fun. So yeah. So good. So good. Let me start by talking about the OP. The OP was absolutely phenomenal. I cannot tell you enough. I've watched it like, I want to say about 10 times already, and I'll probably watch it more today. The thing that this OP does is it instills the old art with the new. You have a lot of these shots where Ataru, the new modern self-looking art style, is sitting there, and you have the backdrop is pretty much panels of the manga animated. It looks so good. And then towards the later part, you even have like segments where it's showing a whole bunch of artwork from different properties. And yes, one of the most iconic arts out there, and I think, in my opinion, is so good. Again, it's kind of showing like video game clips and stuff of some of the video games in the past. Again, showing a lot of the manga panels, the old artwork from the old animation. It's just a huge love letter to the Urusei Yatsura series, and I cannot express enough how beautiful it is. On top of that, having these really great shots, yes, a little bit of use of CGI, but it blended it really well just a lot of colors that really pop. And at the same time, that's not even get started on the music itself. Minami pulls it off again. For those who don't know, Domestic Girlfriend was a series that had an OP that was just so good. Same voice here. She does such a phenomenal job of hitting those high notes, the energy that she's got in there. That back and forth is so good. Like, it's just a phenomenal song, and I'm probably going to play it so much this season. Like, I won't be skipping any of those OPs. Edie was fantastic as well. Not to the levels of the OP, but definitely still good as well. And again, doing a lot of calls, the different art styles of Lum herself, which I absolutely adore. So yeah, the show itself, though. The show itself, like I said, David Productions did a fantastic job. It just visually looks so great. The colors, oh my gosh, the colors. They're making these characters pop. And again, instilling the old art style with the new, really modernizing it, but at the same time, still keeping that same flavor of the old style. It's honestly a style that I miss. And granted, they didn't go too far to make it really on point with that. Again, it kind of modernized it, and they did a great job. It looks great. Now, I can make an argument that it feels very fast-paced. Like, this show doesn't even take a moment to breathe. It's shooting you in there. That's mainly because about half of this episode is Chapter 1, and half of this episode is Chapter 5. And they kind of breeze through that opening sequence, kind of on point with the manga itself, so they're cutting a lot of fat in between there, but at the same time, it does feel pretty fast-paced. So I'm curious if it goes into later episodes, if it'll start slowing down. Because honestly, that second part, the Chapter 5, it felt like it slowed down a little bit. I just think that first half was really breakneck speed. But it was a great introduction, and like I said before, I think the seiyus are pulling this off. My gosh. Lum's Seiyu is pulling that off. That verbal tick is just, I fall in love with it again. Lum is one of those early characters that just kind of took over the world itself. The world of anime fell in love with Lum. I fell in love with Lum. She's literally, besides maybe Belle Dondi, one of the early waifu characters out there that I just absolutely fell in love with. She's got a great design itself, and yes, like I said, the Seiyu's pulling her off so bad right now, it's not even funny. The moment that she was introduced and she said pretty much hi, it was like, oh my gosh, Lum, you're back. I missed you. And they're already getting a sense of part of the chemistry and comedy of this series already in that first half, having this segment where you have Ataru's trying to get with Shinobu, and the entire time Lum is throwing interference with them, and it's just causing huge disasters in the area itself. Everybody of the world hates Ataru right now. Despite the fact that he saved the world, they're quickly hating him because he's becoming a nuisance. And I really can't wait to see all the other characters come into effect and the goofy shenanigans that comes of it. They're being pretty faithful to the original manga, which I think is really fantastic, even though, like I said, they've technically skipped quite a few chapters. I think that's mainly because I think they've already stated before, they're basically going to be going for a lot of the main pinnacle points in the series. So possibly trimming a lot of the chapters they don't feel is going to be funny enough. You are technically bringing a really old manga to a modern audience, so some of those chapters are probably going to get thrown to the wayside. But like I said, we technically have a lot of episodes to go through here. We're going to have, again, a run through from fall into winter, which is going to be 23 episodes. Then they're going to have a break, and I think another 23 episodes after that. So at least 46 episodes, maybe more after that. But either way, if they hopefully if they keep to this quality, I'm overjoyed. Now, I'm going to set my expectations knowing that since they're going at least 46 episodes, they're probably going to cut back on the quality. But this first episode was fantastic already. I think the only probably misgiving that I have, and I was expecting it, is yes, they're going to sidestep a lot of the lack of clothes. I guess I'm figuring out a way to say this for YouTube not to get mad at me. Yes, Rumiko Takahashi, creator of Inuyasha, Ranma 1/2, is known to get a little bit more risky with things coming off. And I don't really necessarily, I didn't expect them to actually have that in this new adaptation. What they're doing instead is they're kind of sidestepping it where it gets really close, but you have like hair and stuff covering things so that you don't see anything. And that's kind of what I was expecting to happen. I'm not mad. I think it's fine. I actually prefer that style more, but at the same time, it is a little bit of a letdown because it lets me know that the industry itself is obviously changing, and a lot of this stuff is just not acceptable anymore for a more broader audience, and they're trying to get a broader audience. Back in the day, any show, kids show, or whatever, had plenty of that, and that's what made Japan special in a way, and they don't do that anymore, unfortunately, even though this is a late night, Noitamina block type of show. Anyhow, that's my thoughts on the first episode. Cannot wait for more episodes. The extremely unlucky life of Ataru. Poor you. and his adventures with the jealous Lum. I cannot wait for more of this series. This is going to be an absolute treat for me. Kind of like last season, Tokyo Mew Mew New. This season is like a whole nother level. To be honest, Tokyo Mew Mew New, I went into that expecting that's a children's show. It's not necessarily meant for me, especially now. But Urusei Yatsura is the show, and it's the show I'm going to be enjoying every single week, and probably accidentally saying Urusei Yatsura over and over again, and then people saying it's Urusei. It's just a habit. It was just the same with Mushoku Tensei. I was so bad at saying Mushoku Tensei. It's fine. Anyways, thank you guys for watching this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure to go down there and hit that like button. Let me know down in the comments if you're going to be checking out the series, if you checked it out before and you're returning to it. Love to hear from you guys. Additionally, if you want to support the channel more, we have a Patreon link, a tips link, and a super thanks button down below. Special thanks to Mind Blasters out there who just became a Patreon supporter. Additionally, if you're new to the channel, make sure that subscribe button so you get all the content. I do news, reviews, top lists, first impressions. If it's anime, it's pretty much here. And y'all take care.